Have you ever been in a situation, in a heated situation at work, with a friend, with a coworker, with your partner, with your parent? How did you react in those situations? And can you imagine if you handled those moments with complete calm? That is the power of Vipassana. That's what Vipassana can help develop. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Before we begin, if you practice Sampajana, feel free to start that now. If you don't know what Sampajana means and you are an old student of Vipassana, check out this video. You might be over here, but check it out and see and start. Now, Vipassana meditation does really help us overcome our anger and achieve inner peace. Now, it doesn't only meet these expectations, but it exceeds them. So we're going to talk about how Vipassana actually works in that way. Maybe you're just maybe you've done a 10-day course before and you kind of just lost your practice and you're not doing your 2 hours of meditating every day. And so this will be a refresher and maybe another reason of why to go back. You might find yourself in these situations and you might find yourself being super reactive and reacting in anger, and you might want to change that. So we're going to deep dive into how it helps. So think of anger like a storm or a hurricane. And the center, being in the center, calm, collected, that is what equanimity is like, and Goenka talks about equanimity a lot. It's very important in Vipassana meditation to be equanimous. You hear that word many times. And so basically that just means a calm, centered, non-reactive, non-judgment, unaffected by the chaos around you. And Vipassana helps us develop this trait. So think of anger like a storm, right? And what stirs up the storm is our attachment, whether that is from craving or aversion towards certain views, certain desires, and certain expectations. Now, I want to make a distinction here. There's nothing wrong with having views. There's nothing wrong with having desires. There's nothing wrong with having expectations. As a matter of fact, those are all very necessary parts of life. You need all of those things. Now, when we have aversion or craving towards those things, that is when we suffer. So let me give you an example. You have an expectation as a driver that people will act in a reasonable way, in a reasonably safe way, and they will drive their cars responsibly. So this is a natural expectation I have. If I didn't have this expectation, I probably would not go drive, right? If I didn't have some guarantee, like I would not go on a professional racetrack and go 250 miles per hour because I don't have the skill for that. And if I thought other people didn't have the skill for that, I would stay away. So basically, this expectation is fine. Now, somebody does something, you're just driving down the road, they cut you off a bit more dangerously. They didn't give you enough space that made you feel comfortable. You're like, well, my expectation is they should be this far before coming into my lane, but maybe they were like this. They barely gave you enough space. Now, in this moment, you react with anger, right? Because you had this expectation of a reasonably safe people and whatever that means, and somebody broke that. Somebody broke that expectation that you have. Now, what you could do is act reasonably safe and say, well, I'm going to slow down, let him have space or her have space, and then I'm going to continue about my way. That you could do that. You can react in a calm and centered way, or you can blow up, right? You can blow up and you can get angry. You can start shouting. You can flick the person off. You can do a whole lot. So in Vipassana, the difference between responding in a calm, collected, smart, intelligent way and reacting and blowing up in anger is our craving and aversion towards this. So in this particular case, it's kind of both, right? I crave safe driving environment. I crave that a lot. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to tick me off because that is the thing that should always happen. And if it doesn't happen, I am going to be ticked off. And similarly, aversion, right? I do not want to get into a car accident, right? A part of that, dangerous driving that they're doing is it can be hurtful. It can, make an unsafe situation that can harm you, them, or other people, right? And you don't want that. You don't want that to happen. And so there's, when you have aversion to it, you're like, it should not happen at all. So you combine these two things, and how hard you believe that, and you're unable to let go of it in the moment, is how long your anger is going to last, right? So that is according to Vipassana, according to anger, according to aversion and craving. That's kind of how it's interrelated. So how does Vipassana meditation help us in this moment to choose the smart, intelligent answer over reacting in blindness, right? So our equanimity acts like a lighthouse in a storm, right? By practicing Vipassana, we develop two things, awareness and equanimity. And Goenka says, I remember him saying, these are like the two wings of Vipassana. You need them in equal strength. If one is too strong and the other is not strong, it's unbalanced, and, vice versa. So how can we understand equanimity, right? Like I said, equanimity is like the calm at the center of a hurricane. It means maintaining a balanced and neutral mind, regardless of what's happening around you. And a part of that, as we're practicing and we're observing the sensations, and the sensations will have different characteristics, right? Some tingling sometimes, some itchy, some pain, some, tickling, tingling, precipitation, just whatever. So many different qualities. And those represent sort of like different, just different qualities of experiences. And we learn to observe these sensations equanimously. And building this equanimity to be able to observe a sensation, a physical sensation with equanimity, translates in the real world to, an emotion, right? An anger. When anger arises, it is an emotion. It is a sensation. It's not a physical sensation. It's an emotional sensation. But because we have that practice with being more equanimous with physical sensations, then when this emotional sensation arises, we're able to bring some of that equanimity. And the more that we develop, the more equanimous that we are, and the more and more we come out of our anger much quicker. And then we get to the point where we don't even get ticked off in the first place, right? And we recognize whatever needs to happen in the moment, what the best way to respond is, and then we start, right? And another powerful thing in this tradition of meditating 2 hours a day, as taught by S.N. Goenka, is, when you do your 1 hour meditation in the morning, it's like putting on a suit of armor. It automatically puts you into a good mood, and it sets a positive tone for the rest of the day. And so by beginning in this good mood, you're naturally less reactive to stressors, and you're more capable of handling the unexpected situations. And it's our equanimity and awareness. It's a lot like our physical body, right? Imagine strength and flexibility in your physical body, right? If you do a lot of strength training, your muscles are going to be strong. But when you stop, after some time, those benefits go away, right? Like if you worked out for 5 years straight and you became super big, super buff, super muscular, and then you stop working out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, all the benefits are gone, right? You're like, you might maintain a little bit of it, but the vast majority of what you had gained will go away. Similarly with flexibility, right? You do, let's say yoga for a really long time, you become super flexible, but then you stop. You automatically lose, after some time, you lose all those benefits that you get. So similarly, it's the same with these mental faculties of awareness and equanimity and non-reactiveness. If you don't practice it on a regular basis, it just goes away. Whatever you practice in the past, like there will be some leftover residual stuff, but the main bulk of the work will be lost, right? And so you have to maintain it. So when we maintain our daily 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, we're helping put on this suit of armor. We're surrounding ourselves with good vibes, good mindsets, good mindscape emotions, good equanimity and awareness. And this really does help us to find more balance in situations that arise that can make us angry. Now, the other important thing to realize is that it's really crucial to understand that you're in the driver's seat of your car. I want to say that you're the master of yourself. And I'm going to expand on the metaphor of driving, because I was talking about driving in anger earlier and somebody cutting you off. Now, external situations in life, they're like other drivers doing dumb things, doing unsafe things, and just being reckless. You cannot control that. I cannot control what another driver does, right? But I can control what I do. And it's really crucial to understand this, right? How can I drive? Now, if another driver does something dumb, cuts me off too early, and then I speed up, and then I cause a crash, and then I'm reactive, that's not what we want, right? That's not what you want to do as a driver. If somebody does something dumb, you want to respond to the bad behavior. You want to account for the bad behavior. You want to expect the bad behavior. You want to do defensive driving. You want to be on the lookout. You got to expect in advance. You got to have a game plan for how you're going to react. And then when it happens, you're more reactive and you can respond in a way that's good for you and good for the other person and the situation, And so don't focus so much on what you can control, what you can't control, Focus on what you can control and try to do that well. Because it's the moment that you then, out of anger, say, well, I'm going to crash into you. That's kind of what we do with anger is, somebody throws anger at you and then you're like, I'm going to throw more at you. And then they throw more. And then it just becomes this thing, and you don't want to do that because, imagine you're driving and you do that, like, oh, you're going to be aggressive with your driving. Well, I'm going to be more aggressive, and then they're more aggressive. You're going to get in a car accident, and you don't want any of that. And that's literally what happens when you react out of anger towards your family, towards your coworkers, towards your acquaintances, your friends, everything. If you're a person that's super reactive and whatever danger comes, whatever thing that gets you mad comes and you just react with all of this, it's not good for anybody. So you want to realize, do not be a slave to external situations that come, that are dangerous, that are anger provoking. You want to be able to respond. So when you practice every single day, you go to your 10-day once a year, you're practicing every single day, one of the things that you naturally do is you develop wisdom. And that wisdom is like a compass. It leads to this deeper understanding of the impermanent nature of all experience, right? You begin to see, as you're sitting daily and you're noticing the sensations in your body, like I was talking about earlier, they have different qualities, they're changing. Maybe on the first round, your knees feel a certain kind of way. On the next round, it's changed. On the next round, it's changed. And, it continuously changes at a specific point. And if you've been, practicing your sampajana this whole video, then you will also see that those sensations are always changing. So how does that translate to here, right? We have this knowledge that nothing lasts, right? Everything changes. The day changes. Today is today. Whatever happened today will die with today, or, will move into the past with today. Tomorrow is a new day. Similar things might happen, but it'll be different. And the days are always changing, moment by moment, things are changing. I might be close friends with this person for some years, and then now we're not best friends anymore. Now I'm friends with this person, or, I had a partner and it went like this. Now we're in this other phase of the relationship, or I used to love work. It was a honeymoon phase. Everything was awesome. Now I dread work. It's just, you're changing, work is changing, situations are changing, connections are changing, everything is impermanent. Everything changes, right? And so you begin to see that emotions like anger, they are fleeting and they will pass. Whatever situation is making you angry right now, you might not even remember in, 5 days, in 5 months, 5 years. Like it'll just literally be distant. So how do you tap into this, and how do you be with this wisdom? That is what Vipassana helps us, because every day we're observing these sensations, we're going deeper into our minds, we're developing equanimity, we're developing awareness, we're developing these characteristics that make us better human beings to be able to respond to situations that arise that could overwhelm us. So it really keeps us grounded. And really just knowing this impermanence is also important because it helps you have stamina to outlast the emotion, to outlast the pain, to outlast the anger. Because usually, like, anger will come for a certain time. Even if you do no training, you don't meditate, you're not trying to do any other thing, anger comes for some time. Now that might be a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, right? It could be a few months. You could be angry, that's something like you lost your job. You're mad at it. Somebody got you fired, and you might be mad at that person for a really long time, right? But even with an untrained mind, that also passes. What Vipassana does as we develop these qualities is however long it would have taken to come out of that anger, that time as you practice more and more just gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, right? That's what Vipassana helps you do. So imagine the next time that you're in a stressful meeting, or you're dealing with a difficult conversation, or somebody's cutting you off, or doing some other traffic thing, or just anything that arises. Imagine being able to handle that with complete calm and clarity, and being able to respond to it with the best of your ability in a collected way. Now, this is not just a possibility, right? This can be reality if you develop in Vipassana, if you start meditating, or if you continue, or if you restart, wherever you might be. So, how do you learn Vipassana? As usual, the link in the description will tell you, it will show you a map, find the nearest center near you, sign up for a free 10-day silent meditation course. And if you're continuing your Sampajana practice, continue it on to the next video until you're done scrolling through YouTube. Take care.